Welcome to Live DAF, your online DAF Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's DAF, Bava Basra, DAF Yud Gimel. We are holding on the second line, V'loi es hatraklin v'chulos. So back to the Mishnah, which taught us that two partners cannot force each other to split up the asset unless there's enough to go around. It must be a substantially sized property which would allow each partner to walk away with a functional entity and an economical entity. So let's say there isn't enough to go around. It's too small for a proper division. Ein behen kedei lozeh ukedei lozeh mahu. So there isn't enough for each one to walk away with a substantial portion. What happens now? Mahu. Do they have to stay together as a sort of forced partnership? If one fellow wants to walk away, how does he do that? Rabbi Yehuda Amar is Dina. We do apply the rule of buy me out or I buy you out. Okay, that's a proposition, fair proposition. Either one of us should buy each other out. I don't want to stay this way. The good means to pull. So either you pull my portion to you, meaning buy me off, or good, or I will do the same. Okay, it's a two-way deal. Either you take it or I take it. So you can force your partner to cooperate with such an arrangement. Rav Nachman Amar Leis Dina de Gudo Yogad. You can't force him to accept this offer. If he wishes to remain in this partnership. Amalei Rav Rav Nachman. So Rav asked Rav Nachman, Lidach de Amras Leis Dina de Gudo Yogad. The point to you that you don't subscribe to this forced resolution. So what happens if it's a Bechor v'Pashut? You have partners. So a classic example of a complicated partnership would involve a Bechor and a Pashut, so two sons of a departed father. The Bechor gets twice as much as the regular brother, right? That's the Bechor and the Pashut. They're both partners in something which they can't really split up. Sheniach lanavi, and their father left for them Eved, right? A slave. Ubehim non-kosher animal. Ketzad oisnin. So what do they do? Amalis, he says, Shani Omer. Look, I hold that Oved Lazayim Echad Uzna Shnei Yamim. Let's say an example of the slave. So they could both own a slave. How do they divide the slave? Well, they split the days. He works for the regular son on Sundays, and the Bechor gets Monday and Tuesday. Meisve, here comes the kasha on Rabbi Yehuda, who says we do apply good ayagad. We make this sort of forced resolution. We force a buyout, right? So one partner can force the other. Either let me buy you out or buy me out. Meisve, here comes a kasha. We have a Mishnah. Misha chetzi eved v'chetzi ben chorin. You have a fellow who's half slave and half free man. How do you have that? Well, what happened was, for instance, he was owned by two partners. Reuven and Shimon owned this slave, and Reuven set him free. So now, the slave is technically half slave and half free. Misha chetzi eved v'chetzi ben chorin. So how does he proceed? Oyved es rabbi yem echad. So on Sunday, he works by the master. On Monday, he's off. Tuesday is on, one day is off. Yeah, to come to this rabbi, it's very good for the master. It's all worked out for him. We've made a very convenient arrangement. Every other day he goes to work. But it's atzmai to count him. What about his personal family life? The Eved is now in limbo. Why? He has a mixed up status. Lisa shivcha ina yach. Look, who could he marry? He can't marry a shivcha kna'anis. She's not suitable for the half of him, which is a free man, which is now technically a full-fledged Yisrael, right? Because the process is like this. You start as a guy, you move over to become an Eved Kanani, and then when the Eved Kanani is freed, he's considered a regular Yisrael. He can't marry a Shivcha, who's not really Jewish. So that's a problem. Lisa Bas Chern and Yachal, on the other hand, they can't marry regular Bas Yisrael because part of himself identifies as an Eved. Yibatal, So he just sits idle. He doesn't. He can't start a family. Piri is a very fundamental element of the brias, of the purpose of the world. Hashem created the world not for emptiness, not to be desolate and uninhabited. Rather, Hashem wanted to be fully civilized, fully full of people. So this is not really a solution. So what do we do? What's the solution for this half Eved? We force his master to set him free. Let him go. But he's not meant to lose his money. So we instruct the Eved to commit in writing that he's going to pay him eventually for half his value. So now he's a free man. He can marry a regular Bas Yisrael. That was Beis Shammai's position, presented to Beis Hillel. And guess what? Beis Hillel accepted this argument and they reverted to Beis Shammai's position that in fact he's meant to go free. Bottom line, it's only because of this lofty mitzvah of Peru Urevu, but otherwise it would appear from the Mishnah that, for instance, the Eved can't just make a proposition to his owner, look, either you buy me out or I buy you out. Apparently we don't say good, good. Well, says the Gemara, no, Shani Yocha, it's so different in this case because you don't really have a two-way proposition, typically when you have two partners. So look, I can say, look, either you buy me out or I buy you out. As long as I'm presenting both options equally, it's a fair proposition and perhaps I can force you along. But Shani Yocha, here it's very different because the Eved, he can offer to buy himself out from his master. I can buy myself out. Good luck, but you can't buy the free part of me. Rashi says, the part of him that's free is a regular Yisrael. You can't buy a Yisrael. There's no damim leben cher, and a free man doesn't really have market value. No concept of buying a regular person. So it's really only a one-way proposition, and that's why you can't force him. Tashma, comes another right to this discussion. Shnei achen, two brothers, echad ani vechad asher, one poor, one wealthy. V'yiniach lehen avi and mercha to beis havad. The father passed away, leaving behind a bathhouse, an olive press. So what did they do with this facility? Asan l'schar, it was meant as a commercial entity. Haschar la'anza, so they rent it out or whatever, and any income is shared by both brothers. Asan la'atzim, but if he had it for personal use, it was designated for himself. So you can't go ahead and turn it. The wealthy fellow says, look, I don't want to turn this into a commercial entity. I want it for my personal use. So Shimon, the wealthy man, could tell his brother Reuven, look, I understand you're in predicament. You need avadim to heat up the bathhouse to get it going. Okay, so find yourself avadim to do so. In the meantime, I'm going to use it. Right? When it comes to that olive press, I understand you don't really engage in olive pressing. You don't really have, but it's up to you. It's your prerogative. Go find yourself olives to press. In the meantime, we're leaving it as is, and I'm going to use it. Why? Why can't the ani tell the usher, look, buy me out. I have no use for this facility. Well, says the Gemara, once again, it's not a two-way proposition. Hasam nami, good ikka. At the most, the ani can tell the usher, buy me out. Oh, good leka, but he can't offer to buy the usher's portion. He doesn't have money to buy. So it's not a two-way street, so therefore you can't force him. Tashmai comes another right. So as we spoke, the facility has to allow for both of them to have a substantial, functional, economical stake in order to compel each other to divide the property, right? In the case where after you divide it, it still has its function, and then you can force a division. Imla, but otherwise, what do? It's not big enough to be divided. Make an appraisal, they get its value, and then they buy each other out. Good or yagad, right? So bottom line, we say good or yagad. Says the Gemara, you're right, Tanoi. Actually, it's machlegas Tanoi. The Sanya, we have a brisa. Toilat oshir bani pachas. So, for instance, in the Chatzar, we learned that you need to have at least 4 ames per person. But let's say it's only 7 ames total. So Shimon tells Reuven, look, I want to go my own way, right? But I understand there isn't enough here to divide. So you know what? You need and a minimum 4 amis, okay, take 4 amis. I relinquish part of take 4 amis, I'll take the rest. 3, 2, whatever's left over. Toilat a shir, you take the required amount. Vani pachas, I'll take the rest. Even though it's less than a shir, shamila, you have to accept the offer. Rabbi Shimon we don't have to accept the offer. Asks the Gemara, what exactly is going on? Is it as we just learned? That he's offering him generously to take the required portion and leaving just a measly bit for himself. So why does he argue? I mean, how could you refuse such an offer? Apparently, the Braisa is meant to be learned as though it's missing some words. Let's fill it in like this. We start with that case. It's a small yard. He makes an offer. Toilat ashir, you take your 4 amis. Vani poches, I'll take the rest. Shemila, you have to accept the offer. But there's another part of the Braisa which hadn't been mentioned. V'gudai oged, nami shemila. Likewise, if it's a question of buy me out or buy you out, or I'll buy you out, we have to accept the offer. He has a right to force that formula, that proposition. Comes the other sheet and says, no, in shemila, you can't force that. You don't have to accept it. Apparently, it's a machlekes tanaim. Says the Gemara, loy, perhaps not. Loylam kedektani. Let's just learn the Braisa the way it says. Forget about good or yogurt. That's not up for discussion in this Braisa. Rather, we're speaking about a small chotzer. He's offering him a generous 4 amis, and he'll take the rest. Udeka amris my taima to Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. So the question was, why is Rabbi Shimon Gamliel disagreeing? The answer is, he doesn't want. He doesn't want presents. Because Reuben can tell Shimon, I understand you being generous. If you're expecting me to pay for it, I don't have money to pay for the extra. You're giving me more than you're taking for yourself. I can't buy it. I don't have money. Okay, so you're offering it to me as a gift. I don't want to take gift. I want to be an independent person. I want to merit long life, right? One who dislikes gifts, that prolongs his life because he's living an independent life, and that's the way I want it to remain. I don't want any gifts. So that explains why he can turn down the offer. You should know that Rabbi Yehuda's opinion that you can force the good or yogurt proposition, it comes from his Rebbe Shmuel, the Snan, because we learned in the Mishnah, if you have a Torah scroll, right? So even if both parties are agreeable to splitting it, to dividing it, we don't do that. Shmuel explains, that's only a concern when it's in one scroll, so we don't slice it in half. It's not covered for the sefer, right? If there are 2 separate volumes, 2 separate scrolls, then yeah, he can take the Torah, he can take the Nevi'im, and we're assuming that they're worth different amounts. So apparently they're going to compensate each other. They're going to equalize the the value here. How? Good or yogurt, right? You take this one, I take this one. Any difference will force each other to reciprocate, to compensate, right? So you see that according to Shmuel, we do apply the good or yogurt formula. Right? Dina the good or yogurt. If we don't apply this concept, so why is it concerned only if it's one scroll and you can't divide it because of the kavod? Even if it's 2 scrolls, you can't make this arrangement. You can't force this arrangement because it's involving good or yogurt. Tirguma Rav Salman b'shnein reitzen. No, says the Gemara. Rav Salman explained, we're not speaking about forcing anything on anybody. They're both fully agreeable. It's by consensus. They want to split the Holy Scroll. So if it's one scroll, if it's one unit, you can't do it. It's not covered. But if it's 2, then you could. By consensus, you can do whatever you want. There's no issue of good or good. I'm not forcing anything on anybody. Amra Meimar, what's the conclusion to this discussion? Hilchasa, what's the conclusion? Is Dina the good or yogurt? Yeah, it's a fair proposition. He can force his partner either buy me out or I will do that to you. Amrle Rav Ashi la Meimar. So Rav Ashi turned to Ameimar. Hadar Rav Nachman Mai. What happened to Rav Nachman's opinion? He doesn't hold of good or yogurt. Amrle, he says, well, Lo Shmili, I never heard of it. Klaim, he meant to say Lo Svirli, I don't accept it. Basically, no. Good or yogurt is the way to go. V'loi, really? V'harav. Ravin. There was a person named Ravin, Bar Chinana, the son of Chinana. Rav Dimi Bar Chinana, and his brother Rav Dimi, the son of Chinana, Shavat lo avua, tarti amhasa. Now from this story we're going to prove that we don't necessarily approve of good or yogurt. We have a story, halacha l'maisa, where Rava did not apply that concept. And here we just finished saying halacha does subscribe to that. Okay, so what happened? Shavak lo avua tarti amhasa. The father passed away and left behind 2 maidservants, and each one had her own expertise. Chada, one of them yada, she knew afya bishuli, how to bake and cook. That was her thing. But chada yada pilcha v'nab, the other one knew how to spin threads and weave. Okay, so each one has her own domain. And now they were both owned by the 2 brothers, and they wanted to make some sort of arrangement. They come to Rava. What should we do? Can we force each other to buy? What are we going to do? So he said, "No, we don't apply this concept." Right? And Rashi explains that he can't force his brother to buy him out or allow him to buy him out. So we see that we don't paskin like Rabbi Yehuda. That's a kasha. Says the Gemara Shani Hasam. No, it's such a different situation there, because Gura Yaga doesn't really apply properly. Because the Lamar Ribayla Tarvayu, each one of these brothers really wanted both of them. He wasn't really willing to allow his brother to buy him out. The Lamar Ribayla Tarvayu, each one wanted both, because each one, right, had their own duties, and you need both of them to run a functioning household, right? Now let's say one brother would turn to the other and say, "Look, you take one, I take the other." That's not a proper division. Like apples and oranges, each one's providing something else, something different than the other one. Lav good or that's not good or yagid. Right? So unless I allow you to take both and pay me out, or vice versa, right? That would be good or yagid. But to take one and leave you the other one, that's not a proper division. And here we were stuck because they weren't agreeing to give up both of them. So that's why we were stuck. Says the Gemara, V'hakisvi HaKodesh. Hold it. A minute ago we spoke about these Torah scrolls, right? So there as well, the Tarvayu, Miboilu. You need both of them, right? Let's say you have a Torah and Nevi'im, right? Each fellow wants both. Torah is Torah, Nevi'im is Nevi'im. It's not like a field that you can just split into 2, and I take a part, right? Torah is Torah, and Nevi'im is Nevi'im. I need both. V'amar Shmuel, and we learned a minute ago, Shmuel tells us, the concern is only if it's one scroll, you can slice it into 2, but if they're 2 separate scrolls, you can do that. And we thought that meant it's a forced arrangement because of Gura Yagid, right? Says that we just finished it. We just said that it's not, it wasn't done forced, it was done by consensus. We're speaking they're both agreeable, so it doesn't pertain to our discussion. Tana Rabban. Okay, on the topic of Torah scrolls, Madbig Adam Torah Nevi'im Uksuvim Ke'echad. Divrei Rameir holds you can make one single scroll containing Torah, Nevi'im, and Ksuvim. No problem. Rabbi Yehuda, no. You have to keep them separate. Torah b'fnei atzma, Nevi'im b'fnei atzma, Uksuvim b'fnei atzma. You have to keep Torah separate, Nevi'im separate, Ksuvim separate. This way you know, Taisa explains, this way you know, you can identify each one and know what's what. Without confusion. Rabbi Yehuda, they go a step further. Kol echad ve'echad b'fnei atzma. Even within the Nevi'im and the Ksuvim, you have to keep each sefer separate, so you know what's what. You identify each one by its name, and you don't confuse between Nevi'im and Ksuvim, etc. V'amar b'da ma'aseh, b'baisus ben zoinen. So Rabbi Yehuda brings a raya to his shita that you could combine the individual svarim within the Nevi'im into one Nevi'im entity. From a story, Masa of Baisus ben Zoinen, a story that occurred by this person. So you had 8 Sefarim or Nevi'im which were attached together as one. Alpi, Rav Lezer ben Azariah. This was done with Rav Lezer ben Azariah's approval. Apparently that's okay. Some disagree, or there's a case of a Chum respond, Actually, it's incorrect. The story was not as you were saying. Actually, he kept them separate, as per our opinion. Amar Rabbi. Maasa, there was a story. Torah, Nevi'im, Uksub, Medubakum Ke'echad. They brought before us Tanakh as one entity, and we allowed it. We approved it. Like the Shita of Rabbi Meir. Now, when the Sefer sits down to write a Sefer Torah, he meant to know like this, that there were meant to be gaps between the Chumashim. Right? So if you look at when they say Chazak, right? So you see there's empty space. 4 empty lines in the Sefer Torah between Bereshis and Shmois and Vayikra, etc. Ben Chumash to Chumash, Shal Torah, you meant to leave Arba Shit and 4 empty lines. V'chein ben Kol Navi LaNavi. Same thing between the Sfarim of Nevi'im, between one Sefer and the other, and there's a Gersa here, Shleisha Shittin. Here you only need 3 empty lines. U'benavi Shal Shneim Asar Gimel Shittin. And the same regarding the sections in Terei Asar, which is comprised of a bunch of small Sfarim. There as well you have to leave a space between each section, 3 empty lines. We don't always have to leave empty spaces. Let's say you completed one Sefer on the bottom of a column and you're starting the next one on top. You can do that. You don't have to leave a space between them. That in itself provides a proper division. Okay, so we learned about Gura Yogurt, right? So if the acid is too small to properly divide it, can any one of them force the other one? Buy me out, or let me buy you out. Machlekes Amiroim, we thought maybe it was Machlekes Tanoim. Amimer says the halacha is, yes, you can do so. And that took us to the discussion regarding Sefer Kodesh and how exactly they're meant to be configured. All the best, to you.